Okay. Let's see. Nice. Cool. Good morning, everybody. Okay, I think we're on multi. So Friday, don't really expect too much. Gonna look for good old 5 handles, be here for about an hour and a half or something. Admittedly, right, we just continue to lean toward longs. What's NQ at? So we have SMT at the lows. Okay, we'll see how we open up. I wouldn't mind trying to get another run into some buy side back above 830. We'll see if we want to pick up these lows, maybe test this first presented today. So if we go down first for the opening, I wouldn't mind trying to then reverse from there. Pick up some sell side. Grab a swing low. Very small opening range gap. We're already sitting inside a new day opening gap. That'll tend to lead to a very choppy morning. So that's kind of the expectation. All the high impact news has already been released for the day as well. So as we said, we won't aim for too much. Take a look over here at NQ as well. So once again, we already cleared that low. We already had SMT at the lows, and now the opening, NQ's actually gone ahead and ran that liquidity again. Yeah, all right, we'll expect ugliness. Probably 10 o'clock or something like that. Not in a hurry. If we get back above this inversion here, especially with creating this SMT, that may be all price needed to do. Right, this little run does pick up an equal low, this short-term low. I'd like to see this low, of course, if we're going to favor longs. But if we end up, as we say, getting above this bearish fair value gap, we might just run from there. As I said, I'd like to see first presented first and then look for a long off that. We have a little bit bigger opening range gap here in NQ, so that can give us some room to the upside. Let's see if we can't grab the sell side first though. Make a new low of day. Trade into the first presented, then give us a long opportunity. We did pick up this low. As you say, with this SMT here, picking up a short-term low like this might be all price needed to do. So now once again, I'm going to be watching this fair value gap. So it's been holding us. We just got above it with NQ clearing this low. We'll see if this offers support, especially with the bullish volume imbalance being created. Right, expectation was we trade down into the inversion, try to respect that, and then if we leave the bullish volume imbalance open, we could look for a run into some highs from that point. If we end up just negating this previous candle's action, this bullish volume imbalance closes in, we get back beneath the fair value gap, we'll look to continue the range bound delivery. If this remains open, it's also going to be above a new day opening gap here. You'll see that. So I'm saying that might be all price needs to do, especially if we leave that open. We could see price now use that volume imbalance. So we're going to watch this. We actually just opened with the bearish one now, however. So as we say, we expect the choppiness. We'll see if a body can actually respect this. We need to get back above. Right, the expectation would be now inversion once again should hold. Closure above, leaving the volume imbalance open. Would create a little short-term run into at least equal highs, like these equal highs. And then ultimately, these equal highs is what we're looking for as well. Closure above the high should get the release. But so far, pretty much delivering as we expected there. Respect the volume imbalance with the body. Trade back into the inversion. Closure above, as we say, the swing point, true break and structure. We didn't close above it, so we closed inside that range. Equal highs. I'd like to see us push into the buy side here. $830 levels here as well. Okay, so that's going to be another area of support where even though we didn't clear the actual highs, if the expectation is buy side, 830 should try to hold bodies now. We've just hit midpoint of the opening range, which is also the 830 level here in NQ. So we'll see if we end up projecting from there. My same idea, I'd like to see if ES can't hold the 830 to clear that buy side first. If we do that, I actually wouldn't mind then looking for a reversal, so almost expecting seek and destroy. Clear the equal highs, we left relative equal lows here. See if we can't return back down into this first presented. So far, right, just holding the range. As you say, not closing above it is more a liquidity grab rather than a true break. Volume bounce still can offer support. Same with the inversion. That'd be like last line. Under that, then we'll expect consolidation to continue, but we can still find support here. What's good, Eric? Yeah, thanks, man. Not too bad. Had a little mishap. Lost my wallet. Left my wallet in the Uber on the way home. Rip. But homeboy reached out to me yesterday, actually, so I gotta go pick it up in Denver later today. One positive. If bodies can continue to hold the volume balance, we'll look for that buy side. But now with NQ leading the way lower, right, that's that seek and destroy we're expecting, honestly. So we'll see if NQ is going to catch up. If we run into sell side first, still would want to see the buy side later. So really whatever liquidity gets interacted with first, we're looking for the reversal to target the opposing. It's kind of the game plan for today. Really? Okay. Hold on, Mike. Let's see what that's about. Hey, on mine it looks fine. Maybe your internet, Mike. Figure it out. That's weird. Yeah, when I'm watching the actual... Are you guys watching... Yeah, weird. Yeah, when I watch the actual stream, it pops up. Like on my YouTube channel itself. True, Eric. We'll take that. We'll take the good karma. But yeah, done traveling now, so we should be back to full-time just producing, streaming, grinding. Alright, so if we're going to try to catch up to NQ, we hold this, but I don't know if we're going to want to do that. NQ really the last few days has been a lot weaker. We've noticed that. It's kind of been the general trend. NQ will clear lows, ES won't. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying the YouTube. Okay. I forgot. It's because... Here, hold up one sec. What if I just left this on this? Okay. I'll just leave this one like this. Yeah, never done. We're doing a little double stream, so we're doing it on YouTube and then actually in the Discord as well for the members. So just trying to get it good for both. No problem, Emily. We'll try it out, see how it works. So once again, this old buy side, right? If we're going to be range bound, equal high should try to hold. NQ, let's say NQ wants to continue seeking and destroying. We're going to look for an inversion play. So we should close above this and then reach for the high again. Which, if that's the case, ES will probably try to make another pass at the buy side. Obviously, very ugly in here so far. That's kind of what we expected. Right, telltale sign when we have very small opening range gaps like this inside of a new day opening gap, we already expect that choppiness. If the play is for NQ to try to actually clear this high, we would expect that ES wants to make another pass. So really this low, we would see if that's going to hold for the time being until we run this high. The original buy side, as we said, is going to be another barrier. So as we trade up into that, I want to see what happens. Closure above that, we're still looking for closure above, which would release into the actual equal highs up here. First two times we get perfect respect. Second one, bodies can't even get near. So if we make the third pass up into it, we want to close above that and make a run for the buy side. Especially if NQ is going to kind of close above like it just did. Which that's also the first presented at NQ, so that seems like that should be an area that would try to offer support. With how we are though, especially with it trading into the first. Yeah, we'll probably just wait till 10. See if the first half hour can't clean itself out a little bit. As you said, not in a rush to do anything today. We're watching in here, we would expect midpoint, because all these wicks in here, once we get above that, that in itself can be treated as another gap. So if we're going to overlap here, right, we could expect the immediate rebalance, but then we'd want to see, oh, sorry, get your car. But we would want to see this candle close above and make a push, which was, as we said, would push ES above the original buy side here and try to run to that buy side. There's the buy side touch, looking for closure above. Closure above allows release into the buy side, as we're saying. This will run for the high here, completing the seek and destroy more than likely. Ooh, look at that rejection. So yeah, that buy side does not want to be breached. We'll see if we hold this here. Mixed opening, of course, here. So NQ a little bit stronger, but as we expect, we still will probably come for this high, complete the seek and destroy is what we're looking for. What is this from? Weird. Must have had a position open here or something. I forgot to close after the stream was over yesterday. Ugly, ugly. So yeah, we're just waiting. 10, 10:30 maybe. NQ right now a little cleaner, right? The play would have been this wick inversion play to target the high. But even in that in itself, really not the best risk to reward. Because you could have used, right? You would have used the first presented within that. Stop below the low to try to get the high. So I guess 1 to 5 isn't too bad. But just lower probability. This man with his brisket, I love that, Dread. Love me a good brisket. Yeah, it's ugly. You gotta be brisket, bro. Are you not? Are you trolling me? Or is it just coincidence that I have two brisket lovers here? We close above the 15-minute. Are you saying ES? If you're referencing ES, to me, I mean, it's nice, but at the same time, this is kind of where we don't put much emphasis in like the actual candlestick structure that's been created within the range. Right, so like we could close above this and then easily just come back down and fall below it again. So what I'm really looking at more is like the first presented actually. And the daily open, which is this yellow line, the new day opening gap. So the 15 could be confluence, but I'm not really putting like much emphasis in that. I'm relying more on here, these time-based PD arrays, just because it's so jumbled. So there we go, we get NQ to release into the high. I almost feel like that would be a turtle soup to come now back down into this range. If we can get closure above the midpoint, we'll look for release into the high, especially with ES being where it is now. Okay, so if NQ wants to close in fully that gap, the opening range gap up here, we should see us be allowed to kind of release. For the time being, we're holding within our first presented today. Very ugly, of course, but right, still there. And that is one that I will actually have priority in. Usually, right, the 1 minute structure we don't care about in consolidations, but first presented is more of a time-based PD array, so that's going to be important. And that's why we're seeing, right, kind of bodies respecting that level there. So if we want the continued bullishness, NQ continues to rise, ES should finally be able to run the buy side. NQ has a few buy side targets up here that we could reach for. And then the daily open actually is pretty clean. Once again, right, that buy side does not really want to be breached. Look at the precision there. Perfect closure on it. Immediate bearish volume imbalance into wick. Wick down into where first presented. So for the time being, NQ is a lot cleaner. If we're going to run higher, we should hold this fair value gap that we just wicked into. And as we said, we do have a few more highs to target in NQ if we can get going up there. So we fell just short of this. I would expect to run that. And then this equal high is aligned perfectly with the daily open. I would expect to run that as well. Holding from the fair value gap. First presented, still holding. Very ugly, however. As we said, we'll wait till 10 o'clock to see if we can't break out the range. At this point, we'd want to see the closure above the buy side, this buy side, or a break back below first presented after running the buy side. A+ entry for the morning so far. Inversion plane NQ returning into the stack of first presenteds. Okay, today's first presented. Midpoint of that is a previous first presented. We close above both of those. As we said, that would have been obvious entry. Stop below the most recent swing low to simply target the buy side and complete the seek and destroy. Now we actually did get the full range closure, so that's nice. Full range closure. We'll see what we get from here. There's both buy side pulls while ES is still being stuck here. So that's rather interesting, actually. That leads me to believe we're going to probably try to retrace. If we can actually run these highs, that might be a soup up there. A lot of lows. So yeah, if we do run this high, I almost would expect price to try to reverse from there. And target all these lows, right? We call that the trend line. So first closure above buy side, that should allow a release into the actual equal highs. If anything, we'll try to wick down into this. But if we leave no wick here, we'll run straight into that buy side. As I said, I'd like to see price hit this buy side and give us some type of reversal and attack now all of these lows, right? So trend line liquidity, we don't use trend lines to trade, we use them to target as liquidity. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. A lot of lows here. So we'll see if we can't, we'll see if we can't clear the buy side, give a reversal. Look for like closing back underneath today's first presented, and then try to reach for some of these lows in here. For the time being, NQ is stronger. We'll see if the 5 minute can close above the buy side. The 1 minute did. If the 5 minute does, that might be a little more bullish, but for the time being, I'd like to see reversal from here. There's the buy side. So as we said, we'd look for some type of reversal. Could be getting back below buy side here. If we need to run that high one more time, maybe it's a YouTube model. We'd want to form that as a swing high first though. So ideally we leave that be a swing high. This candle closes below and then we run it if that's the objective. If not, we just fall straight from there into these equal lows here. And like if you went short from here, right, 5 handles will get you this low, so then that's an easy area to try to offset one. The only issue is now the original buy side that was holding this whole time, when we close above that, that is going to become an area of support if the objective is higher prices. So as we said, if this gets a swing high, that's nice. If we end up running that high closing above, that won't be so good for the reversal in here, and we'll probably continue to slowly grind higher. So if we're going to want to see lower prices, ideally we either get back below buy side, get back below, or at least test first presented. Or if we do run this, we want it to be kind of a wick again, not a displacement candle that closes above. Same idea in NQ, right? Because now this buy side is going to try to hold price if we're going to continue to want to pump. 5 minute did close above, so that's pretty bullish actually in NQ. We'll see if ES wants to follow suit because of that. Once again, just holding that trend line, right? That liquidity there is a little juicy in my opinion. NQ, stronger one. Very strong. Reaching for, let's see, 15. So NQ may be reaching for this high. ES is stuck inside this fair value gap, which is also why I'm thinking this could be a turtle soup entry here. While NQ seems to be reaching for this. It's a pretty large disparity. We'll see if it gets up there or not. Right, not only is it buy side, but it's a 15 minute. So this would be a logical area to pick up liquidity, equal highs, and then try to break. But as we said, buy side here holding, so we almost would look for another pump higher. Closure above the 15. We'll probably see continued expansion. Maybe for some of these equal highs up here. I'd like to see if we couldn't hold the 15, break below buy side, test first presented, or at least pick up like one of these little trend line lows, the equal lows in here. So far, NQ really pretty clean. Once we get above the inversion, right, you could buy there, buying the discount. You're just buying any discount now in the bullish leg. It'll be very easy to run through these, however. So we'll look for like a quick down move, right? As we said, we want to retest first presented, ideally close below that, and try to get one of these equal lows. This may be all price needed to do though, especially with that returning into buy side. So let's watch for the reaction there. First presented daily open volume imbalance. This will be a strong area of support. Ideally, I'm looking for price to get below today's first presented, close below that, and make a run for all of these lows down here. Soup. Oh, sorry, Eric, I wasn't reading that chat. But yes, turtle soup, right? That'd be a clean turtle soup. That's what we would expect there. I want to see this low. We may actually just hold. Did we get that low? Those are equal lows again. Sloppy delivery here. So we weren't able to even get the equal lows, and we're going to hold the first presented. So we might just go back up again. Yep. Straight back up. At this point, we want to see buy side try to hold price and give us at least these equal lows here. In choppiness like this, it doesn't need to happen, doesn't need to be respected. But wouldn't mind that. At this point, I'm pretty much watching to see if the first presented offers us any resistance with the body. Closing below its midpoint will often mean that we can use it as resistance, but this one candle negates that and closes right back on its high. So I'm still watching. We weren't able to get outside of it, which means we could still hold the high of it and look for another run lower into the lows. That's kind of what we want to see before we start running, if we're going to still run higher anyways. All right, pick up some equal lows or something. NQ gave a little bit of a deeper retracement. We'll see if ES doesn't want to match up. Yeah, the soup attack and the trend line worked nicely. I still want a few more of these lows. We only really got one. I guess two, technically. We did get these equal lows, but these here are kind of the ones I'm looking at. Only issue is, right, first presented. So closure below first presented should allow release into those lows. Sometimes we see, though, that perfect delivery, so we're watching this low. Look at how price is respecting that. Does not want to leave. Right, it's tried once, closes on the low. Doesn't want to get outside of it. It tries again, does not want to. Instead, rejects and closes above midpoint. That's bullish. So we would actually look for, yeah, another run up here. If that's the case, though, we'd want this to hold. Notice how this bearish fair value gap and its consequent encroachment is the buy side pull, okay? Not random. So if we trade up into that and the objective is the equal lows, we should see it wick that, reject that, and try to attack the equal lows. NQ making another bullish pass, however, so we'll see if this ends up holding or not. So far, very sloppy, very ugly. To be expected, as we said. To be expected. Where is our... Lost some of my indicators here. Hold up. So opening, yeah, because I would like these lows so we can retest opening range one more time. Yeah, Emily, we noticed that, right? But at the same time, NQ, even as we said before, is just so much different lately than ES. Which is why I'm really not too worried. If NQ rips, of course, we're just going to be, you know, the idea will be wrong anyways, but as of late, I haven't let ES or NQ really dictate the ES entries and things like that, the expectation. As we said, we want to see that hold, and ideally because we had the bullish volume imbalance in here, we want to see that get closed in if the objective is going to be these lows. Right, so we want to respect the premium, we want to negate the future discount that may be created in here, and ideally make a pass into the first presented, but notice how we respect that perfectly. So as we say, this is kind of the flip point. Closure above that, we'll look for another run on the high. We've created so many lows, though I would like to see at least one quick stab, but first presented might want to hold. When we have a whole jumbled mess of time-based PD arrays like this, that's why we kind of see the ugliness. We were able to close in the volume imbalance. Cool, we do respect the buy side as we expected. If that doesn't become a swing high, though, then we're probably going to run for the 15 again. So NQ just wearing highs once again, as we say, NQ leading the way this morning. I don't mind that because if we do reject from here, ES should be allowed to fall. Would the buy side overlap with the fair value gap be a valid entry? Yeah, if we're going to get above that, like if we displaced above this and we closed above the 15 and the buy side, we would expect continued bullishness. For the time being, though, I'd want to see NQ reject real quick. Let ES fall, pick up these equal lows here. First presented holding very nicely though. We left the bearish premium open, so as we said, we're able to close in the volume imbalance, which is nice. We respect the premium. We then create a new premium in the form of the volume imbalance. I'd want that to hold bodies if we're going to run for lows. So at this point, I want to see this hold bodies. We perfectly respected this area. I want to be done with that in the short term. Make a quick pass for these equal lows. Not just stopping there, because we can do that again. I want to actually get below. Not that either. We need to get below. Perfect. We're below there now. So for us, we still want to see, really my objective is this low here. Let's see what kind of closure we get here. If we get closure below first presented, that'll be nice, and we'll look for the continued bearishness. If we don't, this will be a run on liquidity, and we might reverse aggressively here. So we weren't able to close below. We did open with the volume imbalance. That's pretty key. I'm watching that. That stays open, and we close below. We expect continued bearishness. And as I said, I like this low here. Like, I want to see this low get ran. A lot of lows, of course, but this is the real one I'm aiming for. Right, because if the expectation is we can get into this first presented, we should clear that sell side. So if that is what we're looking for, we want to see pretty much these lows be closed below. We want to see our opening range gap be closed below. And we want to get underneath this new day opening gap here. That's perfect. Let NQ actually run. We haven't cleared any lows. So if NQ can clear a low, especially with it being a lot stronger, that should allow ES to simply fall pretty easily into this objective that we have here. Yeah, at this point, we don't have to have any risk. Nice. So we should see, I kind of want low a day. We won't be greedy though. Because we might not even get this low. I wanted to see this low, but we've picked up all these lows, so we could bounce from here. I'd want to see these lows now offer resistance. So I'd want this to be an immediate rebalance into this wick. I'd want to see the wick hold and create another pass lower if we're going to stay bearish. We picked up this low. We've picked up all these lows. I want to see this low, but if price doesn't want to do that, it doesn't have to, because in theory, this low here already grabbed liquidity, okay? So this was the last low to pick up any form of liquidity, which means that this low may be our protected low if we don't want to clear the range. Right, we often speak about kind of the last discount and premium holding if we don't want to clear external ranges. So if the objective isn't to run this low, it's going to hold this low because this low already cleared liquidity. And now after running this short-term liquidity, purging and reverting, we'll see a retracement back up into this. For the time being, I'd want to see first presented try to hold us. Let's move the sell side, clean it up a little bit. We come all the way back up here. We'll expect that choppiness to continue. Yeah, so, Jesus. That was crazy. Nice. All right, well, we're out there. I usually play reclaim volume balance is very true. ES 5 minute, we have the reclaim bearish volume balance with 830 right inside of it. Yeah, right. That's why I kind of like low as well. Can I look at YM? Sure, we'll give you a little YM peek. My YM date is delayed though. Why is that? Huh. So's my gold. Do I not have the futures? I must not have the futures thing anymore. What the heck? That's weird. I mean, my M's delayed though, so it doesn't really help. I don't know why that's delayed, but my other ones aren't. Very interesting. I don't think that was news though. I don't know what that was. Sorry, I can't really look at YM. I thought. I mean, same idea though. Seek and destroy, so like we'd want to see lows. YM maybe has already cleared those lows, but I don't know. How do you have your TV set up to draw lines evenly? You just use shift. So it's just a trend line. Right, you just trend line, you control to anchor it to a swing point, and then you press shift to make it straight. So we're gonna be done there. We'll probably be done for the day. I'm gonna show you guys this real quick. So as we said, we like the turtle soup, right? We're gonna turtle soup that high. That's what we do. Because we're already inside the 15-minute. That's the expectation, is that the best turtle soups are gonna take place inside of predetermined PD arrays. So if the expectation is we're gonna create the seek and destroy, well, this high being perfectly aligned with consequent encroachment, that's not random, that's too clean. It's allowing price to reach into liquidity while also respecting a higher time frame premium, right? Those are the best turtle soups. So as we trade up into that, that's an easy short. Understanding that we left all these lows behind, right? We're very easily going to want to run those as we clear that high. So we get short right on the swing point, perfect entry. First partial, as we're pointing out, this low aligned with 5 handles. Price then runs into, we wanted to see this low. When it falls short and rejects at that point, I'm just gonna close again at 5 handles. So this low here. So price gets above it, it creates that huge wick candle where we get out at the swing low again. And now we go back up, right? So for me, I'm done. And it's very ugly and it's very gross delivery, but the precision is still found, right? If you understand what you're looking for because you know what profile is taking place. So honestly, I really do like consolidations like this because it allows for easy turtle soups. And it would have been nice to get the sell side, but as we say, we don't even need the final target to be met to be profitable. That's just more so a cherry on top. So at this point, we'll just watch because we're done. We'll wait till maybe 10:30, see if that doesn't. Usually if we get this type of choppiness in the morning, 10:30 will give us a little bit of an opportunity. So we'll wait and see if that doesn't present, but we're content with what we have already today. Whoa. Trump said he expects Powell to lower rates. Okay, that's what that little wick was there. Cool, appreciate it, Eric. Yeah, all right. It's always nice to know that you could really find a setup regardless. Like early on in my career, there would be zero shot I'd have any idea what is taking place in here. I would have no idea how to engage it, what to look for. I'd probably blow an account being confused. But when you see these things play out so many times, well, you realize it is just repeatable. So the same things will tend to happen over and over. So that's pretty interesting. It's almost like I'd try to suit that too up here, because I don't think that's going to run away. So like I still like these lows, the fact that we didn't clear that low with that news right there, that's suspicious to me. So I almost feel like we created that to leave liquidity. So as we trade back up into the 15, reject again, which would create a fall from here in NQ. We'll see though. I know you've mentioned 10:30 time frame several times in your stream. I think we should see the full range at 10:30. And what else do we look for? So if you're saying, I think we should see the full range. If you're saying like the full morning range, yes. Right, so 9:30 to 10:30 will give you the morning range. What then I use that for is in consolidations. Okay, so we would find the highest high, the lowest low, whatever it is. But after 10:30, if we're consolidating still, and we break the range high or low, we would expect price to continue in that direction. That's how I would use it. So like, let's say that we stay stuck in this range, and let's just imagine for a second that, right, the highest high is here, and our lowest low, what time is this here? Okay, so no, lowest low would be here. Let's just imagine for a second that we're in this range at 10:30. We haven't left it. 10:30 comes, 10:31, 10:32 ends up closing above. Then we would expect continued bullishness into lunch. And I would actually aim for these equal highs. Conversely, right, we stay in this range, we're choppy, 10:30 comes, we break below, we close below. Well, then I look for sell side in these relative equal lows here. So it's more so just a barometer for future price delivery and how we can expect price to move following certain time points. So like for me, I almost would expect price to stay in this range until 10:30 because it's shown really an unwillingness to want to get below. Right, that short right there would have been nice, and you could be out already. Scalp. Turtle soup again. Just it, nice. There we go. And following 10:30, I'm a little bit more willing to trust PD arrays that get formed within actual price itself. Right, so as we said, we're not like, I have this like this, or I don't have the indicators on, so it looks like we're just following price. But in reality, I'm almost disregarding like the current price structure, and I'm only looking at like these time-based PD arrays, right? So like the first presented here, our opening range. Up here, the 15-minute, the original 15. Things taking place in between that I don't really care about, right? That's why the entry comes on the 15 here. And the exit comes pretty much at the low of the new day opening gap. So we do have today's first presented. That's going to be another key one. Right, so we can key off on that a little bit. Let me bring that back. You'll notice that that's also pretty much equilibrium of the current consolidation range as well. What if I pulled up equilibrium? See how it aligns perfectly with first presented? That's why we can actually rely on that, because it's equilibrium of the range. It's a time-based PD array. It'll cut through all the candles. The soup here in NQ played out beautifully, so we would look for relative equal lows. First, you aim for midpoint. So anytime you're going to total soup, right? Very obvious targets. First, you get midpoint from the high to the low. That's here. Then you could either go for the low or the lower quadrant. So in the same range you take, right? And then you bring up the anatomy of it. That is your second partial. Because look at the respect there, right? That's not random. It's referencing those algorithmic levels in price. Notice where the first wick stops, right at equilibrium of that range. Where's the second wick stop? right at the lower quadrant. I mean, hard to argue that there. And then you hold that final one for right the actual low. So that'd be the completion of that turtle soup, seek and destroy. For us, because we already got our soup, we already got our bread. Like we said, I'm going to wait till 10:30. Probably won't even take another trade today. We'll just follow this. If something obvious pops out following 10:30, I don't mind giving it another one, but for now, we're just watching. I do want to see how this reacts in here. Short-term low, falls short of first presented. We then clear that, holding first presented. So if we actually displace above this high, we'll be creating a bullish inversion aligned with the breaker. And then we might actually release. Kind of like that. So yeah, if we were to get closure above, we didn't. Still though, closure above midpoint, I would almost look for midpoint to hold. So as we trade into midpoint like that, I'm watching to see if that's all the price can do, because then if it closes above, we'll look for that run higher. Just like that, right? You can see it. And I'm looking here, why? Because we have the volume imbalance. That's why I'm saying midpoint should hold price. Perfect delivery into midpoint. Surprising. Run for the highs. 15-minute, we'll see quick rejection if we don't want to clear the highs, just as we see, right? Perfect delivery into that. If we truly want to clear highs, we'll close inside of the 15 for the first time. So if we close even inside of it, regardless of if it's right the lower quadrant, the upper quadrant, closure inside to me would lead to the high of it getting breached as well. So we do close inside. Where do we close? Surprise, surprise. Perfect. Midpoint. Old buy side. There's the high. Perfect tap. Then we get the rejection if we want to go lower from there. SMT at the highs. So this may be another turtle soup, right? Just continue to soup the highs. Especially with now the SMT being created up there. And as we said, if the objective is to soup that, we'll know, right, what become targets. You would take that. Midpoint is the first presented, so we could look for first presented at least. And then I like the equal lows, but that's like the full objective. So for the time being, we look for a return into first presented if the expectation is we hold the 15-minute turtle soup. We'll fall back underneath the inversion that held us originally and make an attempt back into the first presented here. Yeah. So as we said, right, midpoint first, that's right here, that's this level. We'll bring it back up. We're holding the low of the fair value gap. I'm more so looking at the actual volume imbalance though. So I'm thinking if we're going to close below that, we should be able to hold that with the bodies. Especially if we do want to come back into first presented. So now I'm watching that. We're seeing if the bodies respect that level. Here like this. Closure below it, we should respect that with the candlesticks and make a run for the first presented here. If we get above that, because there still is the bullish fair value gap, don't forget. So if that's the case, we make another pass at the highs. I still would look for retracement. All about candlestick closures though. How do the candlesticks close here? Notice that equilibrium is holding, bullish fair value gap is holding. Body respects that, closes below. If we're going to retest that, we would expect the same thing once again. Respect the volume imbalance. Make another pass for the first presented. Try to get into the midpoint, which would pick up a short-term low. And then come for the Wicks low down here, following the turtle soup entry at the high. Perfect right there. So yeah, I mean, so far, it looks ugly, but it really is delivering exactly as expected. And once you realize that, right, that's like the paradigm shift. Where before this looked like aimless, wandering price action that has no real objective. But now we understand it's very specific levels, very specific actions, and they're very easy to predict. I was reading something yesterday morning on Twitter. It said you don't want to, or what did it say? It said traders, remember, you're not trying to predict price. You want to react to price. That is a crazy sentiment to have. Do I analyze or care at all about where we are in the weekly candlestick? Not really anymore. Like you said, when we're all-time highs, there's not really much to aim for, so I'm relying more on like the daily candlesticks, or really just lower time frame structure itself. Of course, like if we want like a TGIF, that'd be the only time I really would look at like the weekly candlestick like that. So like if we end up just running somehow, like say 1030 comes as we speak about, you use it consolidation, 1030 will create a push. If we start running into the afternoon and we just go higher and higher, and then on my weekly candlestick, let me bring it up. So like if the weekly candlestick is, it obviously is very bullish already, but like if we're all the way up here, the last hour of the day, then I would look for a retracement into the close. But like right now, I'm not thinking, oh, we need to revert halfway or anything like that. Okay, so where are we at now, right? What is the next possibility? As we said, the turtle soup will come for at least equilibrium. After equilibrium, we could see now another move in the true direction. So if we want to run bullish, after clearing out buy side and returning into the discount, we'll get the bullish move again. So now I'm looking to see if we close back above this volume imbalance, we should use it as support to make another visit of the 15, or even run the 15-minute high once again. Just like we're seeing here. We close above, notice where we open, right on that former volume imbalance. So if this stays a wickless candle right here, that's bullish. We already hit the 15 as expected, so maybe we can create the wick, but if we want to run that high, we won't create a wick here on this candle. We'll leave that as an inefficiency, and then maybe the next candle will wick into that and push into the high, if this candle doesn't just do it right away. Sounds good, Benji. Take care, my guy. Yeah, not an easy read, man, so don't feel any type of way if you're not seeing it too clearly. Like I said, me, even 2-3 years ago, I'd be pretty lost in this as well. So as we said, no wick there. So my expectation would be if we're going to run this high, we'll see like an institutional order flow where we'll get a wick into the volume imbalance. The low of it should hold the low of the volume imbalance here. And then we'll see like an explosive move to run out some buy side again. It'll be recorded on YouTube. So since it's streaming on YouTube, it'll just stay up there as a VOD. So you'll just have to go to the YouTube once I close the stream. Where I entered isn't being recorded, unfortunately. right? Because that's on a separate screen. So that's the only down part, is like the entries I was showing to you guys, you won't be able to see because only the YouTube stream will be shown. But if you guys are keen, you'll understand. Like, we were tipping our hand that way. Butterfly. Look at the respect there. Very random. Notice the time. So my expectation actually would be, if we stay within this range until 10:30, and then after 10:30 we displace above the 15, I'm looking for this buy side up here. Yeah, I like that. Let's see what we get. So it looks like we are going to stay. Okay, so we're going to close inside the range, as we spoke about. That 15-minute hold. So that morning range is pretty much the exact range that we anticipated. If anything, it's a little bit nicer now because the high of the range is the 15 minutes. So if we close above that, we're also closing above the 15, right? Inverting that as a bullish discount, which would be even better. I wanted to see these lows. We don't want to get caught up on that though. We often speak about how sometimes relative equal lows like this do get left behind. So we can't fixate on that and get married to the idea. Especially that, like, right, look at that. Look at the precision there. So my expectation, yeah, 10:30 will probably close. If we get a 10:30 to really any candle afterwards that then wicks into that, that's what I would expect. So time consolidation until 10:30. It's 10:30 now, so this candlestick will have to wait for that to close as well. So I almost would expect the same thing that we're seeing here. This candlestick remains small. 10:31 then runs for it. If not, 10:30 we'll try. 10:30 closes above the high. I mean, look at the time. We get the push into the 15 right at 10:30. As we said, though, we'll expect to stay in the range, this 1 minute candle. Then the next 1 minute candle should probably move either higher or lower. I would almost expect it to retest this volume balance low. So you see how we're holding that perfectly. If the idea is going to be bullishness following 10:30, we'll now see this high get created. Next candle will trade into the volume balance and hold it. And then we'll close above the 15 and make a run for the high. So our morning range has officially been put into place. Here's the high. Here's the low. We do have sell side here. For the time being, however, I'd actually favor the high. So we'll see if that takes place. As we said, now following 10:30, this is when we should see some type of move to either run at the high or respect the 15 minute and make a run for its low. I favor higher. Still waiting for the actual test of this. So here it is. So if we get closure below, we did. Okay. So this candle would pretty much need to negate this candle's action, one candle's chance, or we're going to respect this as an inversion and start falling. First presented is going to continue to be referenced. It's equilibrium of the range. All right, let me take the morning range. I show you the morning range. I show you the midpoint, first presented overlapping. So as we said, this right here is more bearish because now I would expect the volume balance to send price lower unless this candle can negate this previous candle's action and close back above not only the volume balance, but actually the fair value gap. If it doesn't, we'll look for that run lower into a low again. It respects it, right? Notice where it respected perfectly, so we leave that fair value gap there. That becomes important because now we've pretty much flipped sides to where below that, this will offer resistance. So from here, if bearishness, we'll see a break lower. $830 level, however. So if we can't close above that, I still would like the high. Like, I want to see the high, ideally, not the low. So I'm trying to see price pretty much invalidate the premiums and hold discounts. Yeah. Was eyeing up some longs, just a little ugly. See if that's a long and balanced entry there. Still waiting for closure above. So at this point, oh, there it is. Yep. Volume and balance entry. Pushed right through, as we said. We'd get the explosive movement through the buy side. Closure above. Closing above. If we close above the high, that means we'll come for this high, more than likely. What was this here? Probably another Trumpy. Trump is crazy, man. If it was him, regardless though, but Trump markets are hilarious. Look at the respect. Even that, like, right? I mean, it looks random. It's not unexpected maybe, but it's still respecting these levels perfectly. So actually, if we can leave that open, I like the bullishness. Falling short of the buy side to me, once again, broken record. I don't think that's random at all. In my mind, we create this huge wick to try to get people to start stacking into shorts, thinking this is like a liquidity run. We then run right back through that to actually clear the buy side after creating the bullish volume balance entry once again. So just like we see here, when we open, we'll trade into the candlestick's close and explode. We open, we trade into the candlestick's close, which in this case is also the 15-minute, which is also the buy side. We expect that to hold and push through the wick to clear the buy side. I would almost expect the same thing again. So as we trade into this candlestick's close with how close we are to buy side, we should not see this candlestick's midpoint be reached, and we should probably just hold this and accelerate through this high and clear the buy side right away. If we do give a deeper retracement into the 15, that really should hold, honestly, and run the buy side out. We have a volume balance in here, right? So as we spoke about, if we're going to close above the opening range, we expect that continuation in the direction. We create a short-term high just below the actual buy side, the equal highs here. So I think that's, as we say, baiting. So I don't want to see that high get ran. We can get a retracement into the 15 now at this point and try to hold that. This low really should be our protected low. Yeah. 15, okay. So yeah, 15-minute, if we do get the retracement, should hold. Ideally, we just run straight for the buy side. If that's the case, we'll probably wrap it up because that's kind of the objective. Yeah, that was pretty revealing. Once again, right, predicting price, not reacting. Exactly as we would expect here. Consolidation heading into 1030. 1030 then runs the opening range. Closure above should see that continued expansion. If we clear buy side, as we said, we'll call it there. That's really all I had for my objectives. Of course, we have some more higher time frames, but this hourly swing point was really all I was looking for today. We're going to create an inefficiency here. So we have a 2-minute, which is what I'm saying. We could easily retrace into this 15-minute and hold. If we don't want to just run for the buy side immediately. We have a liquidity void in here. That's what's holding us. So as we come back into the 15, we'll see if we can't hold from there. We fall through that, ready to turn back into the range. Once again, we'll kind of call it because there's no need to be trading within that range. Watching midpoint of this wick. So this is kind of our new area of reference, this range right here. How do I extend? Right, notice how we create the wick, we then get stuck at the quarter level. So closure above like that, I would expect now the buy side run. We retrace into midpoint. No wick candle to downside. We get right back above midpoint. We then get above the upper quadrant with a bullish volume bounce. So I would expect that the wick can go into the quadrant here or even midpoint, but we want to see if the volume balance can't stay open. That'll produce a run into this buy side pool here. That stays open. We'll look for the next candles to run buy side. NQ returns into its volume imbalance, so that'd make perfect sense. We close that in perfectly. So that becomes now a hidden volume imbalance, to where it's still there and it still can be used. It's just not as easy to see. So I'm pretty much watching to see what we do with this little area in price now. 6,420, maybe, yeah, a little ambitious. Right, so as you say, we hold the hidden volume imbalance. We open with another bullish. At this point, we would expect tap of this or tap of the hidden and that buy side to be cleared. NQ runs out at the low and holds. So this should be the final kind of candlestick. And at that point, as we said, we will call it there and be content. Stays open. Yeah, I'd expect this candle. Clear that buy side. There it is. Cuckoo. Alrighty. That'll be it for us. Had a limit set for the 15, fell just short. So we were going to long the 15, back up into that buy side. Retracement falls just short, no worries about that. Let's go ahead and take a look at today's action, and then we will call it. So for us today, turtle soup. We had the expectation, especially with all of the time-based PD arrays, very small opening range. The expectation is that the first hour of the day will be very choppy. Lo and behold, that's exactly what takes place. We understood that as we create all of these higher lows and continue to run higher, any run on the buy side, the external range paired with the higher time frame inefficiency will result in a reversal to target those lows. So for us, very easy turtle soup. As we run out these equal highs, we're getting short right on that. It's also the 15 minutes midpoint. So when we're turtle souping, you always want to have other PD arrays behind that trade that would support it. That's why that was an easy short there. We understand the market narrative, consolidation. We understand the buy side objective, and we understand the bearish premium that will hold. From there, we simply target or run 5 handles into a short-term low. We close our first position. We wanted to see these lows admittedly, but when we create this low and hold it, we understand that we probably will leave this low for the time being. So the next time that we get a run on this liquidity, we'll close in there. So this becomes our final exit. We catch the swing high beautifully. We catch the swing low beautifully. So really a perfect trade. Right? Catching the high of that range, catching the low of that range. And now we reverse and we start to run higher. As we spoke about, following 10:30, whichever high or low got closed above, we would expect continued delivery in that direction. Well, the morning range high gets closed above. So now we see that buy side be targeted. And I mean, look at the precision there. Running the buy side and holding that level beautifully. So overall, right, even though it looks choppy and whatnot, pretty easy to read. Precision still found, right? Very obvious liquidity points and objectives are being met. And it is ugly, right? No one can argue that, but it's not confusing or it's not random at all. It's just ugly, consolidating price action. So yeah, hopefully you guys found that one helpful. We will be back next live or YouTube live stream, probably next Tuesday or Thursday. But if you guys want to be in the actual Discord, right, where you can see these entries take place in real time, you can check out the link I have. Not needed, right? The YouTube will still have tape reading, but if you want to actually know when the entries are taking place, then the Discord will be for you. Plus a little bit more extra content in there as well. So until we talk again, everybody, have a great day, and yeah, we'll talk later.